Hey film buffs, welcome back to Film Feature 43. Today we're doing another 43 Facts video, but instead of being a movie that came out in the 1980s and it's been out for 30 years, or a movie that's just recently been released, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a movie that has not come out yet, so a lot of the facts are going to be pre-production facts that aren't going to change, and a little bit of conjecture about what's going to be in the film. Once the movie comes out, I'll do another video on post-production and what we actually saw, facts about what was in the film. So, stick around for that. Also, if all things go according to plan, this will be my 100th video on this channel, so I want to say thank you guys for watching. If you're new, maybe watch another video. If you've watched a couple videos, maybe consider subscribing. And if you're subscribed, thank you for continuing to watch my videos. I want to make things that you guys want to see, so comment down below a movie that you want me to do facts on, or theories, or reviews. I'll do whatever as long as it's interesting and you guys want to see it. So with all that out of the way, let's talk about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The title is a riff on John Carpenter's Mouth of Madness, which itself is a riff on H.P. Lovecraft at the Mountain of Madness. And this movie is clearly a sequel to the 2016 Doctor Strange, which came out 6 years before Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, meaning that that is the biggest gap between two standalone films in the MCU. But this just isn't a sequel to Doctor Strange. It's kind of a nexus point with WandaVision and Loki, What If, and Spider-Man No Way Home, so it has a lot to fit into its runtime. Scott Derrickson, who directed the original Doctor Strange in 2016, was supposed to come back to direct this, but left due to creative differences with Marvel, and went and directed The Black Phone, which kind of fits more into his horror repertoire, but he was given an executive producer credit on this, which is kind of a glorified thank you in Hollywood, kind of a pat on the back. Thanks for your input and contribution. When Derrickson had left, Rachel McAdams also said she was out. She played Christine Palmer, which was Doctor Strange's girlfriend in the first film, but when they got a new director, she decided to come back into the fray. Derrickson's original script also had the introduction of Namor the Submariner, which a lot of fans have been clamoring for since Phase 2, and the villain would have been Nightmare, who is the ruler of the Dream Dimension. With Nightmare's addition, that kind of lends credence to the fact that Derrickson's script was a lot more darker than the movie that we're probably going to get. It's a lot more horror-oriented, but with Scott's leaving the project, that doesn't mean that this isn't going to be a horror film. It's actually marketed as the first horror film in the MCU, and it's going to be released under the horror genre. The trailer for this movie was actually so scary that the British Board of Film Classification gave it a 15, and if you're from America like me, you have no idea what that means. It's pretty much a hard PG-13 soft R rating. It was said that filmmakers took a lot of the action horror / horror comedy inspiration from Spielberg adjacent films like Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Temple of Doom, or Poltergeist, or Gremlins. And they chose a natural replacement in comic book and horror movie veteran Sam Raimi, who is actually no stranger to Doctor Strange himself, making multiple references to Doctor Strange in his original Spider-Man trilogy back in the early 2000s. One of which is the pizza place that Peter Parker works for, Joe's Pizza, is located on Bleecker Street, which is where the Sanctum Sanctorum is located. And when they're trying to come up with names for Dr. Octopus, somebody mentions
Doctor Strange.
And it's noted.
That's pretty good. But it's taken.
So Doctor Strange exists in the Raimi Spider-Man verse. We might get that version in this film, or if Spider-Man 4 comes out, which a lot of people are rumoring, then maybe we'll get a Doctor Strange cameo in that film. Raimi was very reluctant to take another comic book film after the kind of hurt that he endured with Spider-Man 3, with studio interference and critical failure. He also seems to be very hesitant in making films in general, because this will be his first film in 9 years, the last one being Oz the Great and Powerful. But he seems pretty confident in this movie, because this is the first movie in his 41-year career that is listed as a film by Sam Raimi. It's also the first movie in the MCU to be credited as a Kevin Feige production. Elizabeth Olsen has called this movie bonkers, really comparing it to The Evil Dead, which is a movie that I love, and saying that Sam Raimi has an aim to make this the scariest movie in the MCU. So if you're a horror fan like me, that's kind of exciting, just to kind of see the different genres. I think that's one thing the MCU does very well, is blending the genres of action and time travel and heist films and things like that. So throwing a little bit of horror in there, I think, is a good idea, and I hope that they do it well. Them doing it well is on the shoulders of Sam Raimi and Michael Waldron, who was the head writer for Loki, who took over because once Derrickson left, his script went with him. There's also a void that needed to be filled in the music department, so Danny Elfman, longtime Sam Raimi collaborator, stepped in, taking the place of Michael Giacchino, who did the original Doctor Strange. Elfman took the original Doctor Strange score, especially the theme, and kind of made it his own, putting it in this film, but that's not abnormal because Michael Giacchino did the same thing to Danny Elfman's score from the original Sam Raimi trilogy and putting it in Spider-Man No Way Home. So with that being said, it's clear that Danny Elfman and Sam Raimi have worked on films together. This isn't the first time. They worked on the Spider-Man trilogy and A Simple Plan and Dark Man and Oz the Great and Powerful, and obviously Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. And this isn't Elfman's first MCU film either. He actually did the score for Age of Ultron. He is a long-time collaborator with Tim Burton as well, so if Burton ever gets his crack at an MCU film, Danny Elfman will probably return. He's not new to the comic book genre. This will be his 10th comic book film with the ones I already named. He's also done the Tim Burton Batmans, as well as Dick Tracy, and the Men's in Blacks, and Hulk, and Hellboy 2, and Wanted, and Justice League. So you can say that this isn't his first rodeo. He knows how to score a comic book movie. So you may be asking why it took 6 years to get a sequel to the original Doctor Strange. And I want to say thank you because I had no idea how to segue into these next facts. This movie was put in development hell for many years, not so much in regard to the director, but due to a global plague. No, I'm just kidding. That only happened once. It was originally supposed to be released in May 2021, but then it was pushed to November 2021. But then Sony said, hey, we're actually going to release our Spider-Man movie in December, which kind of put them in conflict with the MCU, so they decided to move it to March of 2022, and more Corona stuff happened, so that pushed it on down the road to May of 2022, which should be where it stays, and if it does, it'll be 3 days after the 20-year anniversary of the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man from 2002. You heard that right. It's been 20 years since Spider-Man came out. That's crazy to me. Going back to the release dates, you did hear me right. This was supposed to come out before Spider-Man No Way Home, but it didn't, obviously, so Spider-Man No Way Home had to be rewritten. There's actually some artwork out there with America Chavez, who's going to show up in this film in Spider-Man No Way Home. Release dates aren't the only problems that the coronavirus caused to this film. Reshoots that I'm told from the internet normally take about 2 weeks for the main reshoots lasted 6 weeks, and as of March 13th, Benedict Cumberbatch is still in England doing reshoots for this movie, so who knows what we're going to get by the time it's all said and done. Besides America Chavez, who we know from the trailers is going to be in this movie, there's a lot of different rumors going around about different actors and variants that we might get in this film, one of which being Tom Cruise as a variant of Tony Stark. The other is, there's a rumor that Chris Evans was seen on set, sparking rumors of a Human Torch Fantastic Four cameo. See what I did there? Sparking. It's also said that in the movie poster there's a teaser for Captain Carter's shield, which kind of ties into Captain Carter from the What If series coming in. And of course, everyone's favorite troll Ryan Reynolds had to stoke the flames of a Deadpool cameo rumor when he was asked if he's going to show up because we got Charles Xavier in the trailers. He said that he's not, but even if he was, he signed a contract saying that he couldn't talk about it, so that really stoked the flames for a Deadpool cameo. Speaking of Charles Xavier, Patrick Stewart threw fuel into the fire, saying that that actually wasn't his voice, that he was home on his couch when the trailer premiered, so how could that possibly be him? You know, the voice from the trailer.
We should tell him the truth.
Yeah, that voice. He was jokingly saying that that's not actually him, and a lot of rumors going around that that is Charles Xavier, but not the Charles Xavier we know from the Fox X-Men films. With Professor X showing up, that really is leaning into the MCU version of the Illuminati from the comics, which normally consists of Doctor Strange, Professor X, Black Bolt, Black Panther, Iron Man, and Mr. Fantastic, which this is also stoking rumors about the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and other characters showing up in this movie. Bruce Campbell, who is a longtime Raimi collaborator, was asked, hey, are you going to be in this movie? Because he's in almost all of Sam Raimi's movies. It's kind of like his good luck charm. And to that, Sam Raimi said one word, and that is linoleum. So, whatever linoleum means, I don't know, but I hope it means that he's going to play a variant of Mysterio, calling back to the role that he was going to have in Spider-Man 4, because I think that would just be great. Jet Klein and Julian Hillard was seen on set. They play the Maximoff twins, Billy and Tommy Maximoff from WandaVision, so that's leading to rumors that they're going to show up in this film and kind of be the crux of Wanda Maximoff's story. Speaking of WandaVision, Elizabeth Olsen actually 2 days after finishing shooting WandaVision hopped on a plane and hightailed it to England to shoot Doctor Strange. While Doctor Strange was being shot in England, Spider-Man No Way Home was being shot in the United States, and Thor Love and Thunder was being shot in Australia all simultaneously. To wrap this up, let's talk about characters that we know are going to be in the movie. Doctor Strange is going to be played by Benedict Cumberbatch again, obviously, but Strange from the Sacred Timeline isn't the only Doctor Strange we're getting. We're getting at least 4 different Doctor Stranges, being the one from the Sacred Timeline, as I mentioned, the one we all know and love, Sinister Strange, Defender Strange, and Supreme Strange. This is the first time that old Benny Cumberbatch actually grew a goatee for the character of Doctor Strange. Every other time he's wearing a face wig. Benedict is not the only one who is playing dual roles. Elizabeth Olsen is also playing different Wanda Maximoffs, one of which being the Sacred Timeline Wanda, and the other being a Scarlet Witch version who seems to have stayed in Westview and kind of went down that path in her own timeline. Finally, there is a giant tentacle monster in the trailer that fans of the comics thought was Shumagorath, but it's not named Shumagorath in the movie, it's named Gargantos. This is all because Marvel does not own the rights to Shumagorath. That's owned by Heroic Signatures, and Marvel didn't really want to jump through the hoops of getting the rights to that, so they just called it Gargantos, and that was it. So that was my 43 facts for the pre-production of Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. Once the movie comes out, I'll do another video on the post-production. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.